morning, everyone. Good afternoon. You're welcome to this morning's or afternoon, depending on where you are, webinar. It's on MANSA, which is the Centralized Africa Customer Due Diligence Digital Repository. As you may all be aware, this is one of the webinars and events that the Afreximbank is organizing in the lead up to the Intra-Africa Trade Fair 2021, which will be taking place in Kigali next year. But before we get into the business of the day, a few housekeeping tips. For those of us that might not be familiar with the system, you'll note that on your screen, you have a variety of tools to control the display. You can minimize the boxes. You can highlight a number of different things that you wish to use using the system. In terms of the internet, I would advise that you try to put off some of the other programs that might be going on your system at the moment, so that at least you get the full benefit of the bandwidth, whatever kind of internet that you are using. So please try to shut off browsers. If you have a VPN on your system, you are warned that sometimes this introduces a little bit of a lag into the system, so you may want to put off the VPN. And then, of course, by later on in the afternoon, when we're having questions and answers, there's a tool there which provides where you can type in your questions, and we'll be providing responses. But generally, there is a box that you can find additional answers to the technical issues that you may have using the system. Before we get into the day, I'm going to do a very quick run through of the program, just so that we have an expectation. The very first thing we'll be doing will be to play an introductory video, just to provide participants and the audience today a very broad oversight of what MANSA is and what it does. Then we'll be having a very detailed and important presentation by Mrs. Maureen MBA. I'll be introducing her when it's time for the presentation. And then we'll have another short video, which really gives us an opportunity to visualize MANSA, the process, how it looks, how it works, and all that. Then very importantly, we'll be having the question and answer session, where we hope to deal with questions and clarifications that you may have about the program. And last but not the least, in about an hour from now, we'll be having the closing remarks for the program. So to start, like I said, I'll just take a few minutes of your time to listen to and watch and enjoy the introductory video, which really just provides an overview of the MANSA. Thank you.
MANSA, Africa's due diligence data platform, is named after Mansa Musa, who was the 10th emperor of the Mali Empire. He is credited with placing Africa on the world map and opening up many trade routes in the 14th century, as during his reign, the Malian Empire may have been the largest producer of gold in the world. He is said to be the only man ever to control the flow of gold between Africa and the Mediterranean. Today, information is the new gold, and the MANSA repository provides a single source of Africa-wide primary data required to conduct customer due diligence checks on African counterparties. It facilitates the availability of Know Your Customer (KYC) information of African entities. Whilst promoting good governance practices, the MANSA platform delivers insight into Africa with the ultimate aim of increasing trade. It does this through access to intelligence on due diligence to enable trade, as well by revealing the investment environment and opportunities to promote trade. Today, MANSA aspires to leave a legacy for trade through enhanced trading relationships and changing the perception of risk on the continent. MANSA features Africa-focused data and information, online access, one-stop place for sharing and accessing of due diligence data, collated information for KYC checks in line with global standards, self-service onboarding of contributors and subscribers, fully automated customer due diligence, CDD profile workflow, independent corroboration process for contributed data and information, availability of country profiles and investment climate, single window to access investment promotion agencies of all African countries, access to top intra-African traded products. The MANSA's key players include Afreximbank, the operator of the platform, contributors, financial institutions, corporates and small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, who voluntarily contribute their data on the repository, subscribers, consumers of the data and information shared on the repository. Subscription is open to all after verification of access. Verifiers, entities that have coordinating or regulatory authorities, as well as associations, registries and credible market entities, such as top 4 firms, credit bureaus, corporate affairs commission, stock exchanges and others. The benefits of MANSA are numerous in addressing today's trade challenges, the most important being, for subscribers, one-stop access to CDD information on African counterparties, smoothening of African entities' customer onboarding, reduced compliance costs, consistency of CDD information across various entities in Africa through standardized templates in line with global best practices and standards, provision of visibility on ultimate beneficial owners, UBO. For contributors, enhanced regulatory compliance through use of standardized template, ensuring consistency of customer due diligence information, CDD, reduced regulatory risk, increase in transparency, potentially leading to expansion of trade or business relationships in Africa and the rest of the world. Promotion of the integrity of your organization and business owners through credible and independently corroborated data, potentially reducing current high barriers to access to capital, particularly for SMEs. Reduced compliance costs. For Africa, vis-à-vis the development impact, governance, Africa-wide impact, risk management, trade promotion, single primary source for KYC. In the final analysis, MANSA is a digital platform that aims to leave a legacy for trade on the continent by addressing de-risking and changing perceptions through providing insight into Africa in the form of intelligence on due diligence data for enhanced regulatory compliance, as well as information on investing in Africa. Its ultimate aim is to enable increased trade with Africa and in Africa.
MANSA is the answer we are looking for to bring international financing back into Africa. Because of rising compliance costs, we've had many international banks cut credit lines to African institutions. Many countries have barely one confirming bank, thereby creating big problems for the continent. MANSA is an answer to that. MANSA will create the opportunity for institutions that want to do business for Africa to gain access to the customer due diligence information they require without getting involved in activities that cost so much money. So it will reduce the compliance costs significantly and therefore open the doors of Africa to international trade finance banks again. We hope that this will be a major contribution to the drive trade finance gap we currently seeing in Africa.
MANSA, Africa's due diligence data platform.
Really just provided an overview of the objectives of MANSA, the thinking behind it, and some of the expectations that the bank has in putting up the program. Now, we would like to lead on to the, we can call it the main course of the day. It's going to be a presentation by Mrs. Maureen MBA. Mrs. Maureen MBA was one of the pioneer staff of Afreximbank, and she really spearheaded the establishment of the bank's compliance unit, and where till of recent, she was the immediate past director of Afreximbank compliance department. At the moment, she is spearheading the MANSA initiative. She has been there from the very, very beginning. And really, there is no one that is better qualified to give you, the audience, a really elaborate, precise, and informative overview of what the MANSA program is all about. So I'd like to introduce Mrs. Maureen MBA to make her presentation, and then afterwards we'll continue with the questions and answers. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. And thank you, Jide, for that brief introduction. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and also distinguished participants, we welcome you to this August forum, which is, of course, talking us through the MANSA repository platform. First of all, I would like to give you a brief introduction about the bank, the African Export-Import Bank, or Afreximbank. Afreximbank was an idea conceived by the African Ministers of Finance, who are the board governors of AfDB. And during their meeting in 1987, and given the global trade, which Africa constituted about 4.4%, they thought that it was time that they create an Exim Bank that will actually see to the improvement of trade within the continent and beyond the continent as well. Of course, there were other factors that led to that decision, taking into consideration the Asian crisis in 1993 and other factors that actually led to the decision of establishing an institution that will drive trade within the continent. During that meeting, the Board of Governors of the African Development Bank mandated AfDB, under the leadership of the then Babakar Ndiaye, to actually conduct a visibility study to see if this type of institution will thrive in the continent. To fast forward, of course, the visibility came up with the positive report, and Afreximbank was established in 1993. October 1993, it was inaugurated in Abuja, Nigeria. And today, we are celebrating, today we are already 27 years of age. So you can see the bank has grown over the years. We started operation in September 1994. And over the years, the bank has come up with a lot of initiatives, developed a lot of products in the aim of actually helping Africa to grow its economy in all segments of the African economy, and also to take its proper place in the Committee of Nations. Having said that, I would like to talk to us a little bit about the bank driving this type of, I call it a daunting task, because it's the first Exim Bank in the continent. And looking at the tasks before the institution, it become really, really worrisome. How are we going to do that? The pioneer president of the bank and some of us who joined in, including the present president of the bank, all of us we were working 24/7 to ensure that we get to where the founding fathers wanted us to be. Now, to fast forward again, we looked at the bank in its fifth plan, which, because the bank always develops a strategic plan every 5 years. And during the fifth plan strategy development in 2015, the bank thought of what are the challenges we are having as a continent. And in thinking through that, they came up with 4 pillars. First of all, the first pillar talks to intra-African trade, because when you look at intra-African trade in the continent, it's actually low compared to other developed nations that account for between 60–70%. But in Africa, we're talking about a very low rate. So trading amongst ourselves, we are quite very low. But intra-African trade in the continent became one of the issues that needed to be addressed. The second issue talks to industrialization and export development. Again, our continent is known as a primary a continent that actually provides primary commodities. We export raw materials that are manufactured into finished goods and then re-export to Africa at exorbitant price. The third pillar the bank looked at was trade finance leadership. I know, just like we listened to the introductory video of the MANSA repository, whereby the president of the bank was explaining that a lot of credit lines have been cut off from African institutions because of lack of information on entities in Africa, and that has led to a lot of international banks leaving the continent, cutting lines of credit from banks in the continent, and that has caused a lot of problems. Because in most countries, you have barely one correspondent banking. Of course, the other one talks to the financial soundness of the bank. Is the bank actually capable of delivering on these 3 important pillars in its fifth strategic plan? Now the bank, thinking about deliverables, we need tools, we need instruments, we need capital, we need a lot of, a lot of work is required, and a lot of facilities are required to enable us deliver on this important fifth plan initiative, which we have designed for ourselves. And if you look at that strategy, the fifth strategic plan, which is dubbed Impact 2021, and which will end next year, I see that platform. I see that fifth plan as something the bank should continue to drive, because it's very key to the continent. Now, the bank, looking at those pillars, talked about the deliverables. How do we get about it? And thought that for us to do that, we need to create certain mechanisms, certain tools that will help us to deliver. Now, those initiatives coming up after so many thoughts, after so many thinking together, putting forth ideas forward, after again deliberating on those ideas. So we came up with the different tools that required for the bank to deliver on its mandate on the fifth plan, which is actually Africa Transformed. Now, to transform the continent, we require those tools. And to deliver on those pillars, we required certain tools to assist us. And that gave birth to one of these key initiatives we are talking about today, which is the MANSA Repository Platform. Of course, there are other initiatives that the bank is looking at. There's the guarantee scheme, there's the PAPS, which is, of course, Pan-African Payment and Settlement System. which is going to be rolled out in a couple of months. There's, of course, the trade information portal. There's the TRIP as well, Trade Information Regulatory Portal as well. So you can see these are the initial tools the bank has thought about. There are other, the AfTrap, which of course talks to the trade finance program, and there are also other initiatives the bank has come up with. Now, this the MANSA repository platform was actually, I think, I would say it's another child of destiny. Because during the 2015 financial crisis, which again talks to the de-risking and, of course, the non-African financial institutions leaving the continent for obvious reasons, the MANSA repository platform initiative was actually presented to a wide range of audience. And that was in 2014 November in Dakar, Senegal, during our annual Customer Due Diligence and Governance Forum. That was the year we launched that forum. And during that meeting, we actually made sure every entity was there, including the regulators themselves, the African central banks, the African financial institutions, the FATF-styled regional bodies. Of course, the private sectors were not left out. We also invited the non-African financial institutions. For instance, the DFI, we invited IFC. They made a presentation on governance. So at that meeting, a communique was passed that the bank should actually move ahead with the establishment of a repository that will be an Africa-focused, to be built by Africa. Because at that meeting, there was a lot of deliberations whereby we were talking about now these challenges that are actually facing the continent as regards compliance issues. And when you look at 2013, 2014, when you look at the recognition of compliance issues, particularly in our continent, it was accounting for only 1%, because a lot of people don't pay attention to compliance issues. To some, it's like a disruption of their businesses. They want to make money, but you don't pay attention to the details. But today, from a trade report, from African Trade Report, which was published recently, it is accounting for 16%. So you can see between 2013 and 2020, you can see how much it has grown. Compliance issues have become necessary and important for every entity. Now, at that meeting in 2014, it was agreed that, yes, for us to actually address these issues which are impacting trade in Africa, we really have to have a centralized due diligence repository. You will agree with me, we have information asymmetry in the continent, whereby you can pick and choose information from different networks or from different systems. But MANSA is trying to address that issue. And what is MANSA actually doing? MANSA wants to bring all those information under one stop shop, so that any would-be investor, any would-be interested party who wants to do business in Africa, like the president said, MANSA is the answer. And that is why today you have this repository. A lot of work has gone into it. We have at that meeting also, there was an advisory council board that was set up for the MANSA repository platform or MANSA repository initiative, which included both regulators and private sector. The Mo Ibrahim Foundation is a member, Of course, we also added non-Africans. The Asian Development Bank, we had one entity, one individual representing. We also have the central banks and also the financial institutions, as well as the private sectors represented on that advisory board. Now, we started in the bank, working with the communique that was before us, and today we are happy to say that MANSA is alive. MANSA is operational. From the description of the video, you would have noticed how did MANSA derive its name from the Malian emperor of the 1323 to 1325, who was awash with gold. So we see the MANSA repository platform as Africa's new gold. And we see it as Africa's hub for due diligence. Now to take us a little bit further, MANSA today is, like I said, is operational. We have completed the platform. And during those formative years of building the platform, the bank made sure that we carried all entities along with us, particularly the regulators, the African central banks. Every step of the development, we were carrying them along until the platform was fully developed, the financial institutions. And we actually did the official launch of the platform in 2018 in Abuja, Nigeria, during our 25th anniversary of the bank. And it was well applauded. And from then, we've been putting the necessary tools in place, all the mechanisms that are required, all the policy documents, our different target audience, the agency we need to use to actually deliver on this platform. Again, like you rightly witnessed during the video production, you will have seen that we are talking to entities like credit bureaus, stock exchanges, bankers associations, different registrars in different countries, other entities whom we believe will be able to work with us in delivering this mandate. MANSA has 3 pillars from what you have seen in the video. The 3 pillars are KYC CDD, which is of course the focus of the platform. Then we have investing in Africa, which is the second pillar on the platform. And that Invest in Africa actually talks you through about the different African countries. When you click on a button on the map of Africa, as it is displayed on the platform, you will see it will take you to the different products of that produce of that country. It will talk you through the GDP, talk you through the economic activities of that country, and of course gives you the comparative advantage of that country. That in essence tells you that, is this the place I want to go? Is it the type of business I want to do? I'm looking for a country that produces cotton or yen. Okay, it gives you that. And you say, okay, this is the grade of cotton. It takes you to that. When you require more detailed information, it takes you to the trade information. It provides you a link to the trade information portal of the bank, which is another initiative the bank is putting in place to promote trade in Africa. Now you will ask me, the third pillar, which actually talks to news and events. What news? News around trade in Africa, news around the compliance space, and of course, entities that want to advertise or do some publications about their products or about their annual meetings or about awards or any type of publicity they want to give to their companies or to their outfits could also go on that news and events portal. Now, bringing us back to the KYC CDD portal, which is our main focus today, we see that we have 3 main customers, and those customers are the financial institutions, the corporate entities, and of course, the SMEs. We are not leaving our SMEs behind because they constitute a major chunk of businesses in Africa, in every country. And we see them very, very vital. And for us, again, when we think about what are the issues actually that led to the establishment of this platform, you will see that there's lack of information on African entities. Cost of doing business in Africa is quite huge. At the end of the day, when you compare it to your returns, you see that the cost of doing business in Africa surmounts your profits. So what's the need for me to do business in Africa? Then you look at it again. Am I having visibility as a company in Africa? No, because your company is not known. So you need to create that visibility. Am I growing my business? No. Why? Because I have to do things that will enable or that will attract investors to my platform. And you cannot do it if you don't have a platform like MANSA, which will help to create that visibility, provide you with that trade growth by actually giving out your information, making your information available to subscribers who are actually interested in doing business in Africa. So you will agree with me that the MANSA repository platform is the answer to all these challenges. And taking into consideration that today, we are happy to say that the bank has come up with this. This is the first digital platform on customer due diligence in Africa. It's a centralized platform, web-based, online. All your transactions, it's done online. You have the three players, like I said, the three customers are the financial institutions, corporate entities, and the SMEs. The moment our verifiers, the moment you contribute your information, and these entities, these three classes of customers are known as the contributors. You put your information on the platform as an African entity. You put your information on the platform, it goes to the verifier. In case of financial institutions, mainly commercial banks, they go to the central bank of their jurisdiction. That central bank verifies because they actually hold every detailed information about you. So if there's any change in management, the central bank knows. If there's any development in any institution, the central bank, they are privy to those information. So they verify those information, and we've been working with them because we have the verifier charter agreement, which they've been endorsing for us to. And of course, Afreximbank does that as well, verifies those information. Now, when you talk about the corporate entities, the question is who verifies them? We have the credit bureaus. Of course, we have the bankers associations. They can actually verify their members as well. We have the stock exchanges who have listed companies under their purview again. We have, of course, we have the other institutions. We have the chambers of commerce. Who does it? We have agencies in every country, like the Oakwood Green Capital in Ghana. We use them as well because they are a reputable organization in that region. So they help us. Actually, when we held they were the one behind organizing the meeting between the Bank of Ghana and the MANSA team in Afreximbank. So you can see that we have actually gone down to make sure we drill every aspect of our economy as regards customer due diligence matters in the continent to actually come up with a platform that addresses all these issues in details. Now, with those three players, three customer segments, you can see that after the verifier has done its job, it goes, if the information are correct, it goes straight to Afreximbank that validates those information before they are now published. For every entity that has contributed its information on the MANSA repository platform, that entity has to provide or nominate an administrator or administrators who will be managing information, their information on the platform. And they are the only one authorized access to the MANSA repository platform. If there's any trigger, if there's any change, they will be the one to effect it immediately. But normally, the platform is designed to run every year review. So it's run, that review is run every year to ensure updates and make sure that all the information on the platform are credible and authentic. Remember, one of the issues again is because there are lack of the information, and the information you even get are not authentic and not credible about African entity. So we want to remove that perception about doing business in Africa. Now, when you have gotten all those together and the platform is live, and you go to the platform to do your KYC CDD, you click on any entity you want to do that KYC CDD, you see the information about that entity, then you extract and do your conduct your KYC or your CDD process. Now, again, we have, like I said, there are 2 users on the platform, and those 3 users, of course, or 3 players, the way you call them, they are of course the contributors of information, the verifiers, and the subscribers. Who are these subscribers? I will tell you something. In my past life, when we are having meetings with non-African institutions, mainly financial institutions, which are commercial, mostly commercial banks, they tell us, no, we cannot do this business because we are constrained for lack of information, and we are not allowed to get into those jurisdictions. So the bank has to provide certain guarantees. It could be 100% guarantee, and before they will be able to come on board. But when we announced to them that today the bank is coming up with a platform that will address those issues, they jumped at it and said they are happy if Africa can have that type of platform that will be centralized, because there are lots of potential in the continent. But because of that lack of trust of doing business in Africa became a concern to all of us. I want to say that it's our destiny, and it's for us to take it into our hands and deal with it appropriately. Now, when we look at the MANSA repository platform today, we started populating in May 2020. We've opened it up for contributors to bring their information, upload their information, onboard their different entities on the platform. We were supposed to be like, I know the US governor, Barack Obama in those days used to say, we have our boots on the ground. We would have been on the ground, but because of the COVID-19, we could not go to countries to actually disseminate the information to our target public. We've been constrained because of the COVID-19, but we never rested on our oars. The bank still said we should pursue it online. So we've been having virtual meetings, we've been talking to we've been engaging. Actually, today we are proud to say that we have been engaging all the bankers associations, chambers of commerce, and even we go beyond that, all our regulators, we have been engaging with them. And we continue to do that, using our different stakeholders in our different jurisdictions. And of course, at our bank's conferences, you must have listened to the president on many occasions, and of course, our other colleagues who have actually, during their presentations or conferences, they have to talk about MANSA repository platform, because MANSA compliance today is key, and this is a centralized due diligence repository for Africa. So you can see, I'm stressing on this just for us to know that this is Africa-centric. It's focused on Africa, it's built by Africa. We know the terrain better. We know how to go about gathering information about our different entities, and we know how to actually use the right language to ensure that we get the credible information we require to put on the platform. Today, there was a recent Indian author, who actually talked about MANSA. He said Africa has come of age. They have actually today they have a repository, a centralized repository that talks to customer due diligence. That they in India, they're trying to work with the government to see how they can replicate a similar platform in India. You will agree with me today, the EU actually has again, early this year, put up a repository, which they call a centralized repository, and it's mandatory for all EU countries to put their information on that platform. So you can see that Afreximbank has set the pace, and MANSA is leading the way. For the bank to take such an initiative is because he believes that the continent has to move, the continent has to be transformed. And for us to do it, we have to work collectively together. We have to make it work. And on this note, you will understand that it's a daunting task for all of us. We all have to work together. Like I said, we've been engaging the different institutions. Last year, the Central Bank of Egypt actually went extra miles to make sure that we conducted 8 series of MANSA trainings for all banks in the continent and also African financial institutions. And they included it using their institute, which is called Egyptian Banking Institute. They worked extra miles. We conducted those trainings because it is key for us to recognize the importance of education and awareness creation when you are building such a platform. If you don't disseminate information about the platform, nobody will hear about you. Nobody will know about you. So we worked with them tirelessly. This year, we've already set a program, but because of the COVID-19, we couldn't go ahead with it. But again, they included it in their curriculum, in the Institute's curriculum. So there's a MANSA program in the Egyptian Banking Institute's curriculum. Thanks to Madam Nagla, who has actually been in the forefront. She's a sub-governor at the Central Bank of Egypt. So we can see how much we have worked, and we are working with chambers of commerce in Nigeria. We're working with the LCCI, Lagos Chamber of Commerce. We're working with the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. We have the agency Metropole that are conducting a regional webinar next week for them again to sensitize their public about the MANSA repository platform. We are also working with SDGCA, which is the Sustainable Development Goal for Africa, Center for Africa. We are looking at first week again in November to conduct another webinar for the region, where I think we're focusing in Rwanda, and other regions. Our regional offices have not been actually out of this. They've been working also relentlessly, trying to organize, to ensure that they organize those webinars with MANSA. So we've been in discussions with them, and they have been trying to put in place webinars with the respective entities in their different jurisdictions. So we have actually been working with them. And if you come to looking, it is a daunting task, and it is a call to action for all of us. We just have to work to make MANSA the pride of Africa, to make MANSA the envy of all. And today, we are happy to say that if you go to www.mansaafrica.com, you will get the information about MANSA repository, the narratives. And today we are talking about 227 profiles in all, of which we have been able to segment them. The financial institutions account for about 120, which are the commercial banks. Then you have the corporate entities and of course the SMEs. We have developed templates for the different entities, for the financial institutions, for the corporate entities, and for the SMEs. Like I started by saying, today, most of our businesses, our SMEs, are mainly one-man business or family-owned businesses. So we are trying to build that institution we want to see of African entities. We don't want to have only one Dangote in Africa. We want to have many Dangotes. And that is what we've been striving to ensure, that with proper information, customer due diligence, will help those entities to grow. MANSA will help those entities to actually attract would-be investors into their different businesses. MANSA will also create visibility for those institutions. MANSA will also assist them to access international financing. And of course, if there are entities in Africa that could provide those financing as well. And MANSA will help them to trade more amongst ourselves, to start creating that trust in doing business amongst ourselves and with the rest of the world. With the AfCFTA coming on board again, we will see that MANSA is going to play a very significant role through its implementation. And the Pan-African Payment Settlement is another key instrument the bank is putting in place that will also promote intra-African trade. And if you are not a MANSA verified, then it will be a little bit of a constraint and rigorous task for you. So we are asking every African entity, whether you are a commercial bank, financial institutions, corporate entities, SMEs, to please onboard. Today is the call. Onboard your information on the MANSA platform, for this is the platform to go. And with that, you will never make any mistake. So MANSA is here to serve you, and it's for you to onboard your information. We have the contributors agreement. It's an online platform. It's a web-based. So you can do your business within 1 to 2 minutes, as long as you are already registered on the platform. It already controls. You don't need to pay any fee. It's free for all African entities onboarding their information on the platform. But for subscribers, you have to pay a fee. We already established a subscription fee model that will assist you to actually indicate and choose the type of subscription you want to make. Today, MANSA is Africa's new good, and MANSA is calling on all of us to actually onboard and make sure we are all there together. It is our platform, and we collectively will make it the pride of Africa. So we are calling on you today. Once you register on the platform, it allots you, it's automatic. It allots you the AEI, which is the African Entity Identifier. It gives you that code that you will use anywhere to ensure that you are actually a MANSA verified entity, so that we facilitate your business. Because anybody, once it's globally recognized, once it's Africa verified, you can go to do your business. Again, the GLEI, that is the Global Legal Entity Identifier, they've approached us. They wanted to work with us. They have presence currently in 2 African countries, Nigeria and South Africa. And with the CAC, which is already taking place, whereby for you to do business very well in the continent, you have to actually make sure that you are legal. You are a legal entity identifier. So they want to work with us, although we already have them have that field on our platform. Today we call MANSA a game changer. It's a game changer because it will make us do things differently. It will make us start developing that trusting ourselves doing business. It will make us know that governance is key for any business to thrive. It will make us it will open our eyes to a lot of opportunities. It will give us a lot of opportunities. So it's a big game changer. And we are calling on you not to joke with it and take it very serious and make sure it doesn't cost you anything. It's just your basic information on the platform. Today, we are actually working on the first phase of the MANSA repository platform. We have other phases which we'll advance to as soon as we get this completely. We were looking at 20,000 profiles by the end of this year. But because of the COVID-19, we could not get there. But hopefully, once this pandemic is off, we will be able to actually start pursuing rigorously and aggressively to ensure that every African entity is on MANSA. With this, I will want to say there are benefits. I've already talked about the purpose. There are benefits. Today, where are we? We are already there. The platform is functional. We are now ramping up to actually open up the platform to our different users. And in a couple of weeks, you will be getting an invitation to attend the virtual operational launch of the MANSA repository platform. With that, I think I want to leave you on this note that today we want to build an Africa, and together we will build the Africa of our dream, a continent with diversified culture, diversified beliefs, diversified people and ethnicity, but with united one vision, one aspirational goal. Together, we'll build a nation of great repute, a nation that will be the envy of all, a nation we will all be proud of to call our own. On that note, I say thank you, and we look forward to you onboarding the MANSA platform. Please, if you are not attending this forum today, disseminate this information to your neighbors and tell them the importance of the MANSA repository platform. I will now, and thank you for listening. I will now return the floor to the moderator. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Maureen, for a very, very elaborate and also very, very passionate presentation about the MANSA program. I believe it's been extremely helpful, and it has really created a very clear picture in the mind of the audience about the MANSA program and what we're trying to achieve. To complement the presentation we've just heard, we will be showing another short video on, it's called the MANSA how-to video. And it is really a visualization of MANSA so that you can picture in your mind what it looks like, how it's going to work, the processes, and so on and so forth. So we'll be playing the video very quickly, and then afterwards we'll do some questions and answers. So the video.
Welcome to this simple video guide designed to help your organizations create and complete your customer due diligence profile on the MANSA platform. The single source of primary data required needed to perform CDD checks on counterparties in Africa. If you're using the MANSA platform for the first time, you'll need to start by entering www.mansaafrica.com into your browser. This will bring you to the homepage, which looks like this. Click to choose the English or French language option. From here, you can navigate all general contents immediately, including learning more about MANSA, about customer due diligence, and investing in Africa. You can also access the latest related news and events, along with MANSA contact details. Now let's show you how to register on the MANSA platform as a contributor. Start by clicking on Register/Login at the top right-hand side of the page. Click on Register as Contributor. Add the details of your administrator. This is the person who will administer your organization's profile on the MANSA platform. They will be able to create their organization's makers and checkers, as well as upload the company profile. They will also be able to manage those users and profile accordingly. Then click Create Account. An email notification will be sent to the administrator's registered email address, including a link to activate their account. Once this is done, the system will invite the user to click here to continue to register as a contributor. Next, fill in the form in 3 simple steps. Step 1. Enter your organization's details. Step 2. Enter your administrator details. Step 3. Check the details summary carefully. If you need to change anything, you can click on either of the edit buttons indicated. Then click on Submit for authorization. Your contributor profile will be sent to MANSA for approval, and when approved, a notification will appear that looks like this. This will also be sent via email. As the administrator, you can now create other users that will be involved in the contribution process. To do so, begin by navigating to the Manage Users menu as indicated. Then invite users by inputting their first name, last name, and email address, remembering to mark the user as maker or checker, or both, depending on their role. Then click Create. A success message will appear that looks like this. And the invitee will receive an email inviting them to click on an Access Account link to register their confidential access account. They'll need to create a password, select their country, and click on Create Account. If successful, they'll receive a message that looks like this. They can then hit Click here to log in and start using the MANSA platform. Now we can turn to the main task for the contributor organization: contributing their customer due diligence profile along with supporting evidentiary documents to enable easier verification. To create your organization's CDD profile, begin by entering your username and password to log into the My Workspace dashboard as shown. All menus and options available can be accessed from here. Next, click on Contribute from the left menu and select the relevant entity that have been registered from the list provided. You'll see that the contribution form consists of 6 steps, which are highlighted clearly across the top of the page. Click Continue when you're ready. To complete Step 1, start by reviewing your entity details. You can select the appropriate verifier using the drop-down menu shown, or invite them by providing their email address. Afreximbank can also be selected as your verifier where yours is not yet available. When you're ready, click Continue. Step 2 relates to identification. You'll need to provide information and/or supporting document uploads under each of the headings shown. Identification, external auditors, business license document, company registration document, object of establishment document, and upload tax exemption certificate. Finally, select the independent reviewing/verification entity for this section. Then, when you're ready, click Save and Continue. Step 3 is concerned with ownership and management. Again, work carefully in sequence to provide the information or document uploads required under the headings: shareholders, shareholding structure, ultimate beneficial owners, declaration of ultimate beneficial owners document, board of directors, director's profile, executive management profiles, and organization structure. Again, select the independent reviewing/verification entity for this section. Then, when you're ready, click Save, then Continue. Step 4 is for your business information. This time, you will need to enter relevant details and/or upload documents under the headings: legal advisor, products and services information, and affiliates and branch network. Select the independent reviewing/verification entity for this section. Then click Save and Continue. To complete step 5, you'll need to provide all compliance information. This time, you provide your answers to the questions asked by using the drop-down menus on the right of the screen. Some responses may require you to provide additional information. Firstly, under various headings related to anti-money laundering. Then under the headlines shown for Risk Assessment, Know Your Customer, Reportable Transactions, Transaction Monitoring, and AML Training, as well as uploading any documentation requested. When all sections are complete, click Save and Continue. Step 6 is for financial information. Here you'll need to complete and/or upload all relevant information relating to annual financial reports, interim financial reports, and credit ratings. Then select the independent reviewing/verification entity for this section. And when you're ready, click Save and Continue. Step 7 is for other information concerning associations and memberships. Again, select the independent reviewing/verification entity for this section. Then click Save and Continue when you're ready. You'll now arrive at Step 8, a summary page of all the completed sections. Finally, to submit your contributor profile for the authoriser's review and approval, click on Complete. The platform will display a notification to let you know your profile has been submitted successfully.
Yes, thank you very, very much. I hope we all enjoyed that video, which, like I said, was really meant to provide a bit more detail and more visualization on the MANSA program. I can see that we have quite a few questions already. So first of all, I would like to assure you that all the questions, particularly the ones we are unable to respond to this afternoon, the MANSA team will be getting back to all of us with answers to these questions. Due to the limited time, we'll only really be able to take one or two critical questions. So the very first question, which we'll be dealing with the MANSA team, is a question on how MANSA can be used to address the issue of trade barriers in the continent to free intra-Africa trade. I think, like it was noted by Madam Maureen, at the end of the day, MANSA really is a very quick tool. So I would like the MANSA team to provide an answer. I will encourage that the answer be very precise and very brief. So how can MANSA be used to address the issue of trade barriers in the continent to free intra-Africa trade? Madam Maureen, over to you.
Sorry, I was muted, and this technology is a little bit. Okay, like I earlier said, that with the coming on board of the AfTA agreement, MANSA will facilitate its implementation. Particularly, we know that the AfTA actually is focusing on intra-African trade, that is creating that free zone and removing some of those barriers from the borders to enable free flow of goods. With that, MANSA can facilitate that, because the moment it is there, and you go on the MANSA repository platform, you click on it, you get all the information required, then again, it will help you to make your judgment with this MANSA repository platform and with this information provided on the MANSA platform. So I can trade freely. Again, the PAPS system, the Pan-African Payment Settlement System, is again a very significant tool, an important tool that we'll use actually to create that, to enable those, that flow of goods in the continent. As you are aware, it was actually the PAPS platform is actually being pioneered and being pursued in collaboration with the African Union. And it has actually gone to the highest level, which have endorsed that payment settlement. And today, the PAPS team are actually working with the different regulators, African central banks, so to speak, who are actually endorsing the policy and other rules and regulations about the platform. So for you to be able to assess to assess any goods or do any business, you must be MANSA verified, and that will facilitate the movement of your goods within the continent. So MANSA is a very important tool in that regard. I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
I think that's a very good answer. So maybe the second question would, which again, Madam Maureen, you can just answer. I believe Dominic Sunoya asked whether the yearly review is not too long or too far for financial information, and whether it would be better to have updated information every 6 months.
Thank you for that constructive question again. If you actually, during my discussion, I talked about the administrators who will be responsible to manage your information on the platform of every entity that has uploaded its information on the platform. And if there's any trigger before the 1 year review period, that's administrator or even Afreximbank will actually alert that entity. We can see that there's a change in management. What is happening and who is there? Can you please update the platform immediately? With that, we are actually monitoring the platform on a daily basis. But we can still take your suggestion on board and see how we can apply that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Maureen. As you can see, we are quite a bit, above the time that we allocated. And like I assured you, all the questions that have been put up, we have the details. We will be getting back to you with the answers to this question. Ms. Aminata Kanu, we noted your points about the importance of having the website in all the official languages of the AU, as well as ensuring that these videos are on the site. And I want to assure you that we'll work to that because, of course, MANSA is an African program, and assure we must make sure that all our stakeholders will be able to engage effectively on it. So that comment is well noted and will be addressed. At this point,
actually,
I'd like to
just to add on to what you're saying, we're already working on that. It's already being addressed.
Absolutely. Thank you. So at this point, like I said, all the other questions will still be addressed. We have all the details. And to save time, at this point, I'd like to call on Mr. Papambaye Dieye. He's an experienced financial services expert, currently with the bank, working on MANSA to provide us with brief closing remarks. Thank you. Papa?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, all participants, and thank you for your attendance to this important webinar. Thank you, Head MANSA. Thank you, Jide, to give me the floor for the closing remarks. I would say that from what Head MANSA, Madam Maureen, has said, she held up the subject. She started by giving a very elaborated background, talking about Afreximbank, She talked about the fundative years of the bank, who is Afreximbank, what are the main reasons that led to the creation of Afreximbank, going through the main challenges the continent has faced, and what Afreximbank has done for the last 23 years with the key initiative and strategies deployed to transform our continent. From this background, Head MANSA talked about where MANSA comes in, and she addressed the global challenges in the continent, particularly the lack of information, the high cost of doing business, the lack of visibility of African entities, and talking also on other aspects of the economic sector in Africa by mentioning the challenges faced by the financial institutions, the corporates and SMEs, and what MANSA will do to these entities. And all these facts led to the creation of the MANSA repository platform, which the bank took the lead to establish. In saying that, MANSA repository is one of the key initiatives led by the bank, which includes private sector and regulators of the continent. And we say that today MANSA as Africa's new gold, and having go through and noting that MANSA repository is going to answer to a lot of challenges, had MANSA pursued her speech talking about the benefits and purpose of MANSA. She presented the MANSA repository platform with its 3 key pillars and the 3 players of the platform with the contributors, the verifiers, and the subscribers. She also described the MANSA process flow through the different steps with the contribution, the verifying, and the publishing into the platform. Head MANSA spoke also on MANSA engagement and collaboration through the engagement with reputable organizations that will support and assist in disseminating and marketing MANSA within Africa and globally to our target audience. She talked also about the sensitization and awareness creation, which are critical for more visibility and appealing to our numerous target markets. Also, she mentioned the conducting of diverse webinar and training with our partners. So we are continuously seeking the support of internal and external stakeholders to make MANSA Africa's hub for CDD matters. She talks also about MANSA as game changer, where we are saying that the platform is now operational. We are ramping up the numbers and aggressively continuing to pursue contributors and subscribers, following up with roadshows and campaign in pilot countries as per our work plan, 2020 work plan. She talked about the virtual operational launch of the platform plan in November. And so having said that, we are thanking all of you present. And from what we are seeing, we have various and several participants coming from different parts of Africa. And of course, noting very well the significance of the platform, we anticipated to have this turnout. We have all listened to the MANSA videos. What are the major benefits of the platform? We are going for sure to be great achievers. We are urging all of you to please join us in this journey so that we will make MANSA a pride of Africa and make Africa great again. Thank you for listening. If you have queries, we will be very glad to answer them. Thank you again and have a great day. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Papa, for the closing statements. And once again, I would just like to thank everyone that has taken the time to be with us on this webinar. I would like to close with an exhortation. about the importance of MANSA, as has been elaborated through the course of this afternoon. And we are very, very keen to answer and provide further information on any other question or clarifications that you may have about MANSA. There is the MANSA website, which has been put in front of your screens, www.mansaafrica.com, very important. And I think it's been a good session. But however, before we close, you will note that this particular webinar is being done in the context of the lead up to the Intra-Africa Trade Fair that will be taking place in Kigali next year. So I would like to crave your indulgence for the next few minutes to close with this very, very important and informative video about the Intra-Africa Trade Fair. So thank you once again, everyone, and hopefully see you in Kigali next year. The video, please.